So now, Ryan, I
Tom.
get a text from you that was kind of weird. I'm just going to be straight up with you. You sent me a video.
Oh, no, this was on my Instagram story.
It was on your Instagram, but you sent me a text of it before I saw the Instagram story.
I sent it to you
So
special.
this was hilarious, man. So
we planned to do this show last week.
All right, so yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
We planned to do this show last week, and we didn't because you went out of town, and we just postponed until you got back. But last week...
I got sick right before the show.
Yes, that too. And I decided to binge read the entire run of Something is Killing the Children.
Because we're going to talk about that show.
We're about to talk about that comic here pretty soon.
Call us the Jimmy T channel, apparently.
Apparently. But I decided it was a very nice day. I am pale as hell. I need to get some sun in whatever way I can. So I just decided to read outside on that Saturday, and I went to the park.
So this is Ryan at the park. This is the message I get from Ryan, and he posts this to Instagram. Where can they find you, Fire Guy?
At Fire Guy Ryan on Instagram.
All right, so
YouTube.
Check this out. Check this out, comic fam. This is Ryan. This is real life. Ryan going to a park.
Okay, so hold on.
Something is killing the children. What were you thinking?
It's an awesome park. There's a lake. There's a trail. I went for a little walk on the trail, but the benches by the lake were all taken. I was going to sit by the lake
so it's not your fault.
Look out at the water. And so I was just like, oh, I guess I can't read this here. I'm going to go back to my car.
Question.
Yep.
If you were to have gotten a spot by the lake, would you have read Nice House on the Lake? Is this have to, like, does your reading have to do with the environment?
No, I just brought that one book with me because I knew I needed to refresh. And so I made the decision, like, I'm just going to go home. I blew it. I'm just going to go home. And then on the way back to the parking lot, I passed the playground, and then there was a bench open right there next to the playground, and I decided I'm just going to read a little bit here. It got too weird. I went home. So I went to the diner. I went to the diner and finished my book.
Did anyone notice at the park?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, but you went to the diner and finished it?
Yes.
It's weird. I like reading at restaurants.
It's fun.
I always like
missed
being able
it.
to.
Pre-COVID, I used to do that all the time.
At the bank, I used to go to like sushi,
right,
and just go in the back and eat. Read Walking Dead and Invincible and stuff.
As I was reading it at the diner, the waitress asked me as I'm checking out, like, "Oh, what book is that? What's that book about?" And as you saw on the cover, it says Something is Killing the Children. It's got Erica Slaughter all covered in blood with big knives. I'm just like, oh. It's about monsters.
It's about monsters.
I didn't want to get into like a whole thing. Oh, it's about a secret organization of monster hunters and all this stuff. It's like, oh, it's monster stuff.
It's just monsters. Comic fan, we're talking about Jimmy T, James Tynion IV, one of the best writers. I'm probably gonna say ever pretty soon. I think he's becoming my all-time favorite writer. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
At least right now, he is mine.
At least right now, he's my favorite. Who else is on this run?
Werther Dell'Edera does the pencils.
Of course he does. Does them stellar as well. And this right here is a world where monsters are not the only thing killing the children. Hot damn. That's right. So we're going to get you caught up on Something That's Killing the Children. We're going through 22 issues, breaking them down one by one. This is going to take about 3 hours. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think what we should do is remind people of where we've been, where we are now, and why this is a fantastic time to get caught up. A great time to start the new arc and to give some cred where credit's due because I really like where the story's going. It's everything that I was hoping.
That's good. It also feels like it's been forever since we got like a present day entry in this storyline. We had 15 issues, kind of the first season of this comic. And then they did like a 5-issue flashback storyline. And then we had House of Slaughter for a while there. And then this book was just on hiatus for a bit.
So, if you didn't know, which we have a community here filled with comic collectors and readers. I mean, this is a book that's like, you gotta, I don't need to tell you that I'm spoiling Watchmen for you. This is equivalent to like modern age, just everyone needs to read this.
I'm guilty of it already, assuming most people are already on this book. Since as a modern person myself, I feel like, yeah. You got to read this one.
Get this. You don't just need to get this. You need to consider having like more than one copy ordered on your pull list if you can afford it.
It's about to hit Netflix, or about to get made for Netflix. Hopefully, assuming everything.
Yeah, confirmed by Boom Studios that it was picked up. Teased by James Tynion, and just like all of his other titles that are probably going to get picked up. Nice House, Where You At? But we're talking about Something That's Killing the Children. Erica Slaughter. She is a monster hunter, and we're going to give some spoilers away. For the first arc, because it completed like a long time ago.
This book's been out for like 3 years.
It's been going for 3 years, but we're going to give you a kind of a brief overview to set us up for the new arc that's begun with issue 21 and recently issue 22, because they are outstanding. It's just so exciting every time. Every one of these books gets me so hyped about comics. So the first arc, we had kind of hinted at earlier that James Tynion wasn't intending it to be as big of a book as it became.
This was originally supposed to be a 5-issue series, but as he was writing it, it kind of grew into a bigger thing, and it also turned into like one of the biggest hits. So between himself and the publisher, they're just like, we can do more. This is a bigger story. Let's expand.
So the first arc, we have just Erica Slaughter taking out monsters that are invisible, that only some people can see, but for sure, some children can see them. And that first arc concludes with her going through the process of hunting down these monsters, trying to save individuals that she can, and then beginning the world building that at the time we have to assume wasn't planned to happen, but clearly we got to continue this book. So we're going to expand this universe. The second arc is the focus of the other monsters, because there were more.
It had babies. It was a mama monster that she killed in the first story arc, and then it turns out there's a bunch of very fast-growing baby monsters that are still an issue.
That's right. So that's the second arc, but we also get introduced to a larger world. There's more individuals that are hunting monsters, aren't there?
Yeah, you find out more about the organization. She's part of the House of Slaughter, and the other people in the town that she's kind of protecting, and we're just building out this whole storyline in this world here. And this whole first 15-issue story arc is basically like the first season.
That's right.
Of this story.
The first season. We have a third arc that takes us from the focus of the monsters killing individuals and more about the organization and how they handle these situations, but also why the monsters exist at all. So, heavy spoiler, but this is like old news at this point, and it's a key plot device that got me really invested in the story back then.
Yeah, and it's also just fun to go back and reread this, like I did at the park. That whole day, I binged all 21 issues at the time. Issue 22 just came out like a week ago.
Get the hardcover; it's glorious.
Yeah. It's a great way to just kill an afternoon, and it's a really really tight story. And I can honestly just see that being the first season of the Netflix show whenever that actually happens. Yeah,
absolutely. So the monsters are manifested if individuals believe in them. It's kind of a Department of Truth, like low key, similar narrative taking place.
Stealing his own ideas now.
Yeah, only Jimmy T can do that. So why would children be the ones to most often see the monsters? Because they're the ones who tend to believe in monsters. And the various houses that are in charge of monster control, their job isn't just to kill the monsters, it's to keep the secrecy and the belief shut, to bring it to a close. And the only way you can ensure that happening is that those who believe cannot live. So, yes, we have monsters that are killing children, but it's not just the monsters. We have the monster hunters that have to protect the world at large, because if everyone starts believing in monsters, the apocalypse is imminent.
Sure, that makes sense. In the world of the story, that makes sense. And that's kind of what we're getting here with the second story arc here, starting in issue 21 and now 22. We're getting glimpses of a separate organization that doesn't really seem to care so much about what sort of collateral damage they inflict.
It's part of the organizations that they can't. It's like the rules. Hey, you can't have one person believe, because that will start a train of events, a domino effect.
Kill all the monsters, kill all the witnesses.
Yeah.
Kill all the children. Kill everyone.
That's what they have to do.
It's a good strategy. I've used that strategy before, too.
Yeah, just wipe them all out.
You can't be too careful.
In
the
video games.
Yeah.
There we go. So we have the fourth arc that takes place, which is a prequel of sorts. It's how Erica Slaughter gets brought into the House of Slaughter. It's how she becomes her own. Why she was spared, because she would have been one of the dead kids.
Her origin story. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get that all the way through till issue 20, which is why 21 is such a exciting thing for readers right now, because this really picks up where the third arc finished, where we had a prequel right in between. So Erica has now finished the first monster dealings.
She
And
solved the monster problem. She just moved on from that whole town.
she moved on from the House of Slaughter as well.
That too.
She quit. She's like, no, leave me alone. Come after me if you want. And now we're going to be seeing not just new monsters, new characters, but a new threat that comes in the form of another house and another warrior, another ruthless, violent slayer.
It's interesting to think about where this story goes from here, because I got the sense after these 2 issues, it's moving a lot slower than the first 2 issues of this. You could compare them, issues 21 and 22 compared to issues 1 and 2, like the first 2 chapters of this story arc here. And this stuff feels a lot slower and more considered. Like he's definitely planning a lot heavier into like building the wider world.
Why don't you meet Gabby?
What's that?
This is introduction to Gabby right here.
This is the first panel of issue 21.
That's right. We have a new character introduced. She has really dope hair, kind of colorful. One strand on the side. She's covered in blood in the back of a police car, saying she wants a lawyer. She just witnessed something atrocious.
Yeah, and I get the vibe. We were talking about this before, that this person feels like your gut instinct is that this is going to be a new member of the House of Slaughter. Like you think that this person is going to be inducted and trained as a monster hunter moving forward.
Absolutely.
I could see it.
This right here is a situation where she discovered the monster attack. Her family was completely slaughtered. Her grandma was her kappa was detated to a degree. I can't remember if it was actually detated, but like, intestines ripped out. Like she just walked into something so horrific that she needs some damn counseling ASAP as possible.
I also really just love the way Werther Dell'Edera does the layouts here. There's a lot. This series has a lot of 2-page spreads.
It makes me wonder how much of the layout Jimmy T is involved with, because so many of his comics have so much. You got to assume that there's got to be some type of writer suggestion here.
Go nuts, he says, probably.
Go nuts,
something like that.
Or lots of slanted panels going back and forth.
Right?
Or
Why are they not straight lines?
Everything, right?
Yeah.
It definitely makes
it feel off.
It makes it feel off, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun. So she's chatting with this police officer because the police officer knows that she did not do the crime, because they have a recording of her like showing up at the house, and they're already dead when she arrived. But he's trying to get her to talk, but she has just experienced something so terrible that she is damaged. She doesn't have time for this stuff. She's like, give me a lawyer, get me help. This ain't good. So we get a little glimpse about what she saw.
Oh, gross. Yeah.
So take a look at this. She walked in and she sees the horrificness. Is that a word?
Sure, it is now.
Yes, it is now. She also says something pretty interesting that you kind of hinted at. She gets a lot of her family's blood on her. She's holding her, people, and she's also, touching a lot of stuff. It's very, very grotesque. And she says like she needs a shower. She smells, because she's covered in this stuff, And earlier in Something That's Killing the Children, I don't think I would have remembered this, but had I not reread it because of the hardcover, that is something that Erica Slaughter says. She says that she's got to take a shower. She stinks after she kills all the monsters. I think that's a subtle thing that may be setting her up for a future to possibly join, probably not the house, because Erica's not part of the house anymore. Who knows where that's going? But to possibly join up with Erica. Could we have now, we already have one of the best female lead protagonists in comic books in the modern times.
That's true.
Is this the introduction to number 2?
I'm also just learning that I'm starting to appreciate artistic choices more. Let's go back to that one real quick.
Yeah, sure.
The panel borders there are so rough and jagged.
Yeah, it makes you feel
the tension
tense.
and the suspense and the fear. They're not straight, even, clean lines on the panel borders, and I love that deliberate choice.
It's like a Sharpie just kind of doing it quick.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really do too. And you really feel for these characters because it's so hardcore, and we're dealing with kids, families, and what is this? Someone holding a dead body, and it looks human. What?
She doesn't know there's monsters yet, so she probably just thinks that's the guy who killed everybody in my house.
Well, you're going to find out soon that it just took her a couple more glimpses to piece something together here that she can't even communicate because it doesn't make sense. We have Also, one of the coolest freak out moments, because it's like, dude, leave this kid alone.
Yeah.
She's experienced something horrendous. You just gotta like let her heal for a second. But this right here is the first oh snap moment, because when she leaves the house and she sees the person responsible, it's a humanoid monster. You thought that the monsters were just limited to just looking like little creatures? No, they look different. This monster
What the hell is happening?
Has a shoulder that separates from itself
It's got
with teeth and a giant eyeball.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Damn it, Jimmy T, you're good.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but he
Does it
eats with his
shape-shift?
shoulder.
I don't know what's happening here. But I love that. I love that it's not the exact same monsters that we, I assumed that that's kind of how it was for 15 issues. Like, oh, this is the kind of monster that they fight. But
They look like these creepy creatures.
there's a whole different like class. And there would be. That makes sense. I just never thought about it like that.
And they mentioned classes before, but in my head, I'm thinking more of the same. This one looks
Right.
bigger. This one's a little bit more purple, has more fangs, But no, this is a completely different thing.
And a lot scarier, especially if it can kind of pass as human. It's wearing pants.
That's right.
So I don't know what's going on with that, but
We get introduced, well, rather, Erica gets introduced to our new character, Gabby, because Erica goes where the monsters go.
yeah, that whole issue, Erica Slaughter, like the main character, the protagonist of the series, hasn't even showed up until the very end. She's wearing a Riddler jacket, too. I like that.
Straight up.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That could be actually a really good cosplay. So now we're getting to issue number 22. So spoiler warnings, but this is the time to get back on board. And it's these two issues that are going to give you the biggest excitement in as far as foreshadowing goes and what we're being set up with. Because what can you do? You already kind of went through a lot in the first 4 arcs, right? So we have this introduction that is so hardcore. I don't think it's gotten as gruesome as this with the kids being
I
killed.
don't know. Like you witness a lot of messed up stuff in this series, like a little girl getting ripped in half in front of her parents' eyes by an unseen monster. That was a standout moment in the early issues.
Well, look at this. We have
This is pretty gross too.
clearly monsters have invaded this home, which is why you see the pieces of one of the monsters that we actually saw from like the earlier issues, right?
On the right over there, yeah.
But we do have a lot of children.
We do.
Casualties, because
It's the title
the
of the
House
book.
of Slaughter cannot let anyone live. They're protecting the rest of the world, but you gotta consider, what kind of person do you need to be to do this job? You have to be one that doesn't look at anything with empathy. You have to you have to be someone who is detached.
You show up to this house where monsters are invading and there's a screaming, terrified family inside. You kill all the monsters and the family's like, oh, thank God. We're so glad you're here.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. There's this really like badass looking person. They saved the day. Thank you so much.
And then you got like the Anakin Skywalker moment.
And then she takes out, or they, or whoever does this, takes out damn sewing needles to just like do worse damage to the kids.
Hopefully the monsters kill the family first. Like I can, that's my concern here.
It doesn't look like it. We get introduced to someone from another house, someone who's elite, someone who has a process of how she gets this done.
Yeah.
Someone who's definitely experienced this type of torment for the job that she is doing. And she also has kind of I assume is like a lackey, a partner here that looks really cool. Instead of the bandana, he has this like, almost like Rorschach
it's like
looking
a bandana
mask.
over the top half of your face.
Yeah, Red Dagger type of thing going on here.
It's like Ghostmaker, another character of James Tynion's.
Little bit, doesn't it? And that's it. That's all we're gonna do here for you.
And there's me again.
I don't want to get too far into Something is Killing the Children 22 because it just came out. I want to leave some, as AKA Mr. Bull would say, shout out, meat on the bone.
Book has hit 20 bucks. Let off the gas, comic fan, unless you're really gunning for some jackfruit goodness.
$75 cover price on this, don't overbid, but if somebody wants it, we got it.